Hello and welcome back to my craft room.
Hi.
This is going to be the second film about perspective drawing. We've been exploring perspective drawing. You'll find all of the videos in one playlist, which I will link below.
Yeah. Don't know how many there's going to be just yet.
Yeah, we're just going to try and keep them a little bit shorter because there's an awful lot to cover, and they'll all be time stamped so that with each video you'll be able to skip to the bit that you need.
Yeah.
So this is my son Tom, for anybody that doesn't know.
Hi.
He's here to be the brains today.
Yeah.
And what we hope, this has all been inspired really by, well, we've both always been interested in perspective drawing. I know very little about it. And this month's August 2023's Scrawler Box Challenge is point of view, and a lot of people are doing perspective drawings. And,
yeah, they are. And some people are not enjoying it at all.
No, and the challenge is to go out and about and draw what you see. Now, I still think you could argue that you could just draw a few blades of grass if you wanted, because
no need for perspective if you don't want to do it.
But if you want to, then we're hoping that if Tom can explain this in a way that I can understand, then I'm thinking anybody can understand it.
Yes.
So should we have a look at the desk and what we finished up in the last video?
That's a good idea.
What we're going to do next. Over to you, Tom.
This is where we got to last time. We drew some boxes in two-point perspective, made it look a bit like a train by mistake, but yes. Up here we were showing how to divide and repeat things.
Yeah.
We've got all that sorted. Now we're going to show the effect of moving the horizon line and the vanishing points around.
And touch on 3-point perspective.
Yes,
so
briefly.
We talked about 1 point, 2 point, and we'll be briefly touching on 3-point perspective.
Yes, 3-point perspective is of course more complex because you've got a third vanishing point. But it's also less often useful. So we're going to split this page into 4.
Should we show your little sketchbook saying that?
We could share my little sketchbook. Talking of things being split into 4.
Yeah, just
I apologise in advance for the quality.
Just shut down.
For the crudity of the model. It's not to scale. Well, badly quoting Back to the Future. We've made this amazing little model of the town and he apologised for its crudity. He made it in like 2 hours or something.
It's the thing about perspective drawing this.
It is very easy. So these were just some little tiny that's the thing I did during Emily's stream. Took the same reference as her and did a perspective thing from a slightly different viewpoint. And then these I was just messing about doing little thumbnail things. As you can see, I've split an A5 thing into A7-ish size. And coloured them in with Inktense. So this one here is just 1-point perspective.
Amazing what you do just with 1-point perspective, actually, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which we showed in the last video.
Yeah, as you can see, I've got roundy shapes. I've got things cut into the floor. Got a ramp. Things cut in there with doors. Yeah. The white lines I did kind of work out and get them properly repeating, and then in the painting stage I messed it up. So never mind. And here, this is all 2-point perspective, but each of the boxes actually has their own
little pair of
set of vanishing points. They're all slightly different rotations. It's difficult to see in here because I didn't have enough space to move them much.
Because of course when you look at a town, all the buildings aren't facing in the same direction. They are all at different angles and stuff.
In this country and a lot of European countries, yes. In America they'll often find that their cities are grid based,
so they can
so
just
they've got a much easier job,
with the same vanishing points.
Yeah, a lot of the time when you see American tutorials for drawing cityscapes in perspective, they really don't cover the problems that we'll face here.
So each of those is just 2-point perspective. It only has 2 vanishing points, but each of them has a different.
They've all got their own, but they all go to the same horizon line, so they all kind of fit
in the same.
Obviously, the thing up in the sky is 1-point perspective. I don't know what that thing in the sky is.
Spaceship.
I ran out of space on the ground. So
So you're going to do similar little thumbnail arrangement here.
Yeah, I'm not going to put nearly as much effort into splitting the page into nice, neat little rectangles, though. I'm just going to kind of split it into 4, roughly. We're going to try and draw the same scene 4 times, with some slight differences.
Okay, that's interesting.
Well, it's actually going to be 3 times, then we're going to do something slightly different with one of the others. So first of all, let's draw it the way we did in the first thing. We'll put the horizon line, which I was doing in green before, wasn't I? So let's stick with that. Horizon line we're going to put in here, kind of in the middle. So we'll mark that HL, because why not? Horizon line. Then for this one, we're going to have a horizon line right up the top.
That's crooked.
That's no pleasing some people, is there? Now it's not even straight. Happy? We'll see that it doesn't matter that it's not straight.
Tom's how to use a ruler tutorial. Well, it just goes to show you don't have to be super accurate, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then this one, down the bottom here. And this one, in fact, to point out the difference in something here, we're going to do it all the way across both.
Okay.
So, different horizon lines. Why does this matter? Well, if you think about when you're looking at a scene, if you're looking up, you're going to see more sky and less ground. So if you're looking up, you'll see more sky, less ground, like here. Lots of sky above the horizon line, a little bit of ground. And if you're looking up at the top of a building, in fact you won't even see the ground, you'll just see the building.
And more sky.
Yeah. If you're looking down, however, quite the opposite. A little bit of sky at the top, more ground.
Okay, that's all making sense.
If we were to draw something here, we're going to imagine that there is a box that comes to a little bit below eye level. So you can just see the top of the box. I'm
waiting for the joke about, so for me it'd be about 3 feet off the ground.
Oh, that'll get to the 3-point perspective. We've got a really low... But yes, that is a point. If you want to portray a view from a shorter person, you're going to need the horizon line. Let's explain why that's important in a different way. Let's imagine for a second that you are drawing this box that, for me, is below eye level. I'm kind of average height.
Yeah.
So let's imagine it comes up to, say, there. So for me, that means we're going to put a couple of vanishing points in here. Let's not worry about where they are particularly for the moment. We're going to deal with that in a second. Just put them in kind of the same place on all of those. So, yeah, we're going to say that the box, obviously it's got to go off to the vanishing point. As before, the box comes to a little bit below. So, the horizon line goes right through everything in the scene at your eye level. If you had multiple doors and you're on the same... You imagine you're on flat ground. If you have multiple doors, the horizon line would go through the same point on every one of the doors off into the distance.
Yeah.
Because your eyes would come to the same point on every door. So for me, my eye level comes to just above this box, so we draw it just below the horizon line. Because the horizon line is just above, because my eyes are just above. Make sense?
Yeah.
Good. And the box goes down, let's say this far. And off to the vanishing points, as before. And yeah, vertical lines all vertical.
All this covered in the previous video.
There'll be a link in the description to the playlist. There, box. Below eye level.
It's a box.
Now, let's imagine for a second that you're a short person.
Yeah.
And your eyes are below the top of this box.
Yes.
It's the same box. However, you're a short person. Or you're a person holding a camera down at waist height. You know. So let's just say this isn't exactly how you'd do scale. Obviously I haven't done that quite vertical. But let's say that the sides of our box are going to be in line with the one above.
Yeah.
Because our eyes have moved down, our horizon line has moved down. We're looking up, so we see more sky. So we'll just transfer these sides here. And in fact, unless you're below ground, you'll always want the base of a box or whatever to go below the horizon line. Because your eyes are always going to be above the ground. So if something's on the ground, the bottom of it is going to have to be below the horizon line.
Yeah. Otherwise it's going to look like it's levitating or something.
Exactly, yeah. So, you're a very short person. It's okay being short. Nothing wrong with that.
It's good to be short, compact and be...
So here's the ground, just below your level. You're like a borrower right at the... I should really, if I'm transferring this, I should probably transfer that middle one as well, actually.
So we can have a proper comparison.
Which means that should go to there. Okay, so now we've got this nice low horizon line, so we can see quite far above this thing here now. This box is, let's say about there. All we've done is move the horizon line. The vanishing points are in the same place. But we've moved the horizon line down, and now we're quite clearly looking up at this box.
Yeah.
Whereas before, we were looking down at it.
Yeah.
Get rid of some of these extra lines that I didn't need.
So this is why I forget to clean the top of my kitchen cupboards, for example.
Yeah, you can't see it.
I can't see him.
You can't see it. It doesn't exist. So yeah, move the horizon line down.
Yeah.
Bosh, we're looking. Now you could also move it down and still draw this the same way, and then you'd kind of be looking up above the box. You know, that's an option.
Don't understand.
Well, you could be my height with a box in front of you just below eye level and look up.
Oh right, yes. Sorry, yes.
So you just see the top of the box out, but obviously that's not what we wanted. We wanted to have the viewer lower.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm also going to do here is actually extend this box up. So there's another box stacked on top of this box for some reason.
Exactly the same width.
Yeah, strange, isn't it? It's like a...
Lego.
Yeah, it's like Lego.
Giant Lego.
The reason we're doing this is to demonstrate something.
Okay.
This is going to start looking a bit weird.
And one of the things we've been saying again previously is that, yes, we're just drawing boxes at the moment, but once you can draw boxes and cylinders, really, you can draw anything in perspective.
Yeah.
Including people, whatever. It's just easier to explain in terms of boxes.
Yeah, boxes will get you the right perspective. And we'll show how you can, if you don't need a box, like you can just draw a person from whatever angle well enough. We'll show you how to just get the scale right in perspective as well. So that the person appears right when they're further away, which is harder to do than you think. Yeah. So the reason I've done that is because that's starting to look a bit distorted and weird at the top because it's so far away from the horizon line. And we're doing these in 2-point perspective, so these vertical things are all parallel. Okay. What we're going to do with this line here is show you 3-point perspective to mitigate some of that problem. And, you know, if you have the third vanishing point quite close, it can exaggerate the perspective even more. Yeah. But like when you see those pictures of skyscrapers and stuff from top or bottom, it's fun to exaggerate it, isn't it? Now this one, this is a tall person, taller than me. Or a person standing on a ladder. Or a person standing on a ladder, yeah. So they can see a lot of ground and a little bit of sky because they're looking down at what you're drawing. Yeah, they're looking down on everything. Looking down on us. Who do they think they are? The Dutch. They're very tall. Say that. We love the Dutch. We like them, but they're tall. Dutch people I've met, they are tall. So they can see most of the top of this box. You know, to them, this is like a step. It is again quite distorted because I've got it quite far away from the horizon line. Yeah. But we're just drawing a square in perspective here. Nothing confusing. Oh yeah, that looks weird now. It does, because it is weird. And this will come down here. Some of these lines aren't straight. It's part of the problem. Like that, it doesn't look like it's properly vertical. It's not too far off, but. And of course, you can have fun once you've got the basic perspective in. You can have fun with like deliberately curving the lines to exaggerate it all even more. Yeah. Which I think is good. But it's like needing to know these basic. I just don't understand all the basic rules, and you need to know the rules before you start breaking them. You kind of do, yeah. So yeah, that looks quite distorted and weird at the bottom because we're only doing 2-point perspective. Right. Yeah. Okay. It's like it's technically correct for 2-point, but you'd want to keep, if you're doing just 2-point, which most things are, to be honest. Yeah. You can get away with 2-point perspective for almost all of your stuff. Unless you're looking up or down at something in quite an extreme angle, you'll be all right. Yeah. But if you want to do 2-point, try and keep the horizon line kind of in the middle, because the further you get away from it, the more distorted things are going to be. Then it starts to look wrong. Yeah. Yeah. A bit fisheye or something. And this would look less wrong had I drawn it closer to the horizon, but I was trying to make a point. So, 3-point perspective. As the name implies, we have 3 vanishing points. In fact, I might just take this paper down. With 3-point, you'll often want the third vanishing point to be quite far off the page to the top or bottom. In this case, we're looking up. We've got the paper taped down now because we're going to have a vanishing point up here. Ooh, controversial. Just on the camera. Now, this is best, once you get used to it, it's best to estimate where this is and really converge lines towards a vanishing point that isn't actually so far away. Yeah. Or if you've got a nice big wooden drawing board. Yeah. And you could do it on a big A3 pad. Yeah, yeah. And just draw it in A4, give yourself a bit more scope. In which case, brilliant. But if you're out and about, you're going to have to estimate most of these lines.
Yeah.
But we're going to put a vanishing point here. You can kind of see that on camera. I can see it. That's the important part.
See it well enough.
And you can do this if you want to. We want this nice big tall thing like we got here, but looking less weird. It's still going to look weird, but intentionally so. So we want the middle of the building. It's got to go off to the vanishing point, which in this case is still going to be a vertical line, just like with the horizontal vanishing points. It all converges to be straight where the horizon is. These all converge to be straight below the vanishing point. So here's the middle corner of the building. Cool, cool, cool. We can now put in the front edges. Just about on camera there, that's fine. There's one front, here's another one. So this is from a Hobbit's eye view of a normal box. Now,
it had to happen.
On these ones, we just drew the sides straight up where we came to the edge of the thing. On this, we go off to that really far away off the page vanishing point.
Which is the one that we can imagine if we're out and about sketching.
Yes. So this one has already converged to it. It just happens to be vertical because it's right below it. This side, however, goes up like that. And then we want the other side to do the same. Converge to that same third vanishing point from, say, here. And then the top of the building still uses the same vanishing point down on the horizon line. So it'll still be a little bit up there. But as you can see, it now looks like you're staring up at a building.
Yeah, yeah.
Or in your case, staring up at a small box.
It is kind of how I feel.
Yeah.
By tall buildings.
Again, the further away from the horizon line you are, the more pointy this end is going to be.
Yeah.
And to reduce that on a view like this, you'd want to move your horizontal vanishing points out more.
Yeah.
And that would reduce this distortion at the top.
Yeah. So if you want it to look basically more realistic and less exaggerated, that's what you'd want to do.
Yeah.
And if you had an actual photo you're looking at, you can work out where it needs to be by looking at the photo, but we'll come to that later.
Yeah.
Or in a separate later video.
Now, if we wanted this to look like a building, for example, this is where we could introduce one of those fancy tools that I bought.
Yeah, should we show you fancy tools?
Should we show some fancy tools? Here's one. So, yeah, this is... I bought cheap versions of all these things. All the stuff I bought came to 15 to 20 quid.
Yeah, good. I'm tempted to get them myself, to be fair.
We'll try and put links to all the products in the description.
If we can find them again. But you got them all on Amazon, didn't you?
Exactly, yeah. This is a proportional divider, or a set of proportional dividers, depending on your preference. It comes in a very nice fake leather case, for no reason at all. And it's difficult to get out.
It's like being on a shopping channel now.
Yeah.
It's a very nice, sturdy leather look case. It's not real leather, so it's okay for all the vegans out there.
Yeah.
You see, we could do shopping TV, couldn't we?
Yeah, it's got multiple holes in there for different ratios. At the moment, it's set for the biggest, what is it, 5 to 1. So basically, if I measure something with these bigger ends here, this will be a fifth of the size. If I measure something with this side, this will be 5 times as big.
And being cheap, it's not the most accurate one. You can get much more expensive.
You can see here that when it's closed, it's all like spread out at the end there. So there's one made by Derwent, which costs about £12.
Yeah,
which would probably be a lot better. This was like £5.50 or something.
I think it'd be really handy for transferring images to start portraits.
Yeah, just in general, and
just
like
to get your
you don't have to use it as a proportional thing. You can like just transfer a single measurement from one place to another.
Yeah, it's
and
handy.
you can use it and you can like hold it up, and if you're measuring something.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff you can do with it. Very useful.
Yeah.
I'm going to use it to split this into 5 floors.
Oh, exciting!
Because I could get a ruler out and measure on these lines if I wanted to. But for the most accuracy, I'm going to choose the longest line. And if I need to change this, you just quick release that. That second hole there is 5 to 1. That's 4, 3, 2.5, 2, unspecified, 1.5, 1, unspecified.
Yeah.
I don't know why they've done that, but I want 5 to 1 because...
you want 5 floors?
Yeah.
Odd numbers are fun.
Yeah, sure. And even numbers you can do by using that dividing trick we showed in the last video.
We showed in the last
Odd
video.
numbers are harder. There are ways you can do it, but... So yeah, I'm just going to measure this with the inaccurate nonsense. Doesn't need to be precise, it's art.
Yeah.
And now this should be a fifth of that line. So if I just go through and mark it like that, and then come through and mark it again.
I wonder if they make these with so you can put a pencil lead in them.
They do make some like that. They also make some that have multiple, and that lines up there. So that's split into 5.
Perfect.
There's some that you like. They make it for sewing things as well, and it opens out into multiple points, evenly spaced, for doing pleats and stuff.
Ah, yeah.
But you can also get ones designed for drawing for doing that, so you can just make 5 marks at once if you want.
Yeah.
So we've now split that into 5 equal, proportionate things using a proportional divider. Now, one of the other things that came in this set was the clear ruler and a couple of squares, or triangles, or whatever you want to call them. Very handy thing to have for this if you wanted to get accurate stuff. Obviously, you're going to need right angle lines.
It's good to have the two.
There's also a protractor in there. And there are some things where you'd want to measure angles if you're trying to do it properly. We're not trying to do it that properly, but again, handy stuff to have. And then there's a whole load of templates, all in this lovely orangey plastic. So we've got this lovely elephant thing. I don't know why I'd ever need that. Like each of these things is a different function, so you can plot curves.
Handy
Very handy.
Yeah.
And it looks like an elephant. That's not useful for us. That just happened to be in the set. I was going for these templates because ellipse templates are very important. You can get much more expensive ones made for the purpose that you'd spend like over £100 on them.
Yeah.
I ain't going to do that. But we'll get to ellipses in another video. Basically, if you're drawing a circle in perspective, it's going to be an ellipse.
Yeah.
A perfect ellipse as well.
So
you'd think maybe it'd be squashed at one end or something, but no, it's always a perfect ellipse.
Yeah, it's interesting to know. I would have assumed it was squashed at one end.
Yeah.
Just goes to show, doesn't it?
Set French curves. Cool.
Yeah.
Useful.
And
don't need to tell artists about those, do I? All this orange stuff was in the same set. Some architectural furniture type things and wobbly lines. Again, those aren't handy for the perspective. I just got this for the ellipses, basically. Ellipses, that's what I really wanted.
That's what we really need. Yeah.
Of course, they've all got a ruler on them as well. So, handy. Sanitary wear.
Sanitary wear, which we think means toilets and bathrooms.
Yeah, it's clearly like different types of toilets and bidets and a bath there. And 1 to 50 scale and 1 to 100 scale version of those as well, which is interesting. Got more circles and stuff in here. There's a lot of stuff in here for, I think these were the most expensive part, and it was only like £12 or something. Electronic symbols and stuff, and some more circles. And again, this is part of the important part. A whole lot of different ellipses.
Yeah, so basically you've got all of them for, well, you might use them for other stuff, but it was the ellipses that you wanted for this.
Yeah, and it also came with a couple of mechanical pencils and a load of spare leads. Yeah. 0.5mm, both of those, I believe.
It's a pretty good set, isn't it?
It's alright, yeah.
It's the sort of thing if you really found you enjoyed doing it.
So yeah, that's the stuff that I bought. That kind of stuff is quite handy for this. If you're going to use a ruler though, you might want a longer ruler than this, because as I've demonstrated, sometimes you want a vanishing point that's quite far away. Of course, you're going to try not to use a ruler anyway, because you're artists. But
if you're out and about, a little short one like that's not a bad idea if you just want...
Yeah. Sometimes a short one can be okay.
I think what I will end up doing is practising this... Shut up. It's practising all of this here at home till I feel familiar with it. Then I'll feel confident to go out and just wing it and do it in my head.
Yeah, the more you do this kind of thing, the more you'll know when something is wrong when you're sketching.
Or more importantly, why it's wrong. I think you can always see when it's wrong, but it's working out why.
You know what's wrong. Like in this case, that's too distorted because these are too close together.
Yeah.
Really, this vanishing point probably... You could leave one on the page, but this one probably needs to be about here somewhere.
Yeah.
And then it would look okay. Yeah, when we're going to show a demonstration on another page of the importance of moving the vanishing points around and the difference it'll make. But yeah, now we've got this split into 5 equal sections. We can split the whole building the same way into 5 floors by just going to the vanishing points.
Connecting the dots.
And yeah, we don't need to draw the line the whole way when we know where it has to begin and end.
Just go to the edge
just
of the
line
building.
the ruler up, or just make your arm go in the right direction if you happen to be a proper artist. Also, I don't want to hear any of that proper artist nonsense.
No.
Using reference is fine, using a ruler is fine, they're tools, you're allowed to do it. Real artists
You still
use
need
it
your
all the
artist's
time.
eye
Yeah.
and your artist's hands, but using tools, nothing wrong with it.
No.
We're not like tracing a photo or something. We're just using tools to transfer what we see onto the page.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, people have always complained about new technology and stuff. Like, I don't know if you've seen those things where a teacher was complaining about students with a newfangled paper and they don't even know how to clean a slate anymore. It's like, that seems as ridiculous now as... as you can see, they're not converging much, those lines, because we've put the thing so far away. But it's made quite a difference compared to this one.
Yeah.
It looks more like you're looking up at something.
Yeah. Yeah, it just gives it more of a feel of scale and distance doing that for now. Yeah. Yeah,
and this works for looking down as well, of course, if you're looking at a pit. Let's move on to moving the vanishing points. Let's have this paper cleft in twain. Is that not a normal way to speak?
No.
And lo, there was much wailing and gnashing of teeth. I've not split those very evenly, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit of a perspective effect.
So you're just viewing it from the wrong point. Okay, so for this one we're going to have some fairly central horizon lines rather than up or down nonsense.
Okay, because we're talking about the moving the vanishing points rather than... So in the last one we were moving the horizon line. This time we're going to move the vanishing points.
For at least 3 of them. On this one, I'm going to try and do the same box as we did on the last sheet, but I'm going to put the vanishing points for this one closer together to show how wrong it can look.
Okay.
Don't usually want to do your vanishing points like that. And we'll see why quite quickly that becomes a bit of a problem. We're doing 2-point perspective still, so these lines are going to be the same. Perfectly vertical. And now we're going to this real close vanishing point. So we've got very exaggerated perspective here. Doesn't look great already. And then we go to this one, about the same point. And yeah, this is where sometimes the vanishing points can be confusing when you get close to the horizon line. It's like, oh, this looks horizontal, but it shouldn't be, or this is very slightly...
That's when they get really hard to draw without... just drawing it by eye gets really confusing. Even if you've got a photographic... reference, it can be really hard. I end up just holding a pencil against it sometimes, trying to work out whether it's up or down or straight across.
Yeah, like here, where am I going? I'm going to this vanishing point over here. And then from that corner to this one over here. As you can see, with these things so close together, even with that being right in the middle of the thing, it's all distorted and
doesn't look right.
If we'd drawn that any bigger, it would have been really pointy and weird. Now, if we want to draw this box more from one side than the other, because at the moment we're going exactly between the things, so we're getting a thing if you're right on the corner.
Yeah,
it's like right.
You don't always want to draw. You see a lot of perspective drawings done like that
because it's very easy to do with equally spaced things.
Yeah, but you don't often look at a building corner on, do you?
No, our photo is not like that.
No. So we quickly show, because we haven't done it in this video. This is the photo we're going to end up after this little series of shorter videos. We're going to end up doing this.
That's the plan.
And we can tell you how to apply all the rules we're going through.
Yes, all of this waffling is going to be relevant. All these cubes that are really boring are going to turn into a house. And
could equally well be turned into other objects, cars.
Yeah.
Or people.
Planes,
or
people.
Whatever, yeah.
Swimming
Basically,
pool.
We're learning cylinders and boxes, boxes and cylinders, so that we can draw anything else.
And these rules can also be used for very organic things like trees.
Yeah.
Because if you can draw a basic tree shape off in the distance, you don't really need to change it that much in perspective, but you can use these rules to get the size right.
Yeah, so that it looks convincing.
Yeah. Let's imagine that we are looking more at this side than this side.
Okay.
If we look at our box again, as an example, we're going to be doing it from... let's see, what kind of angle do we want? We want kind of this angle.
Yeah, that's a more realistic kind of...
Yeah, it's a kind of angle you're going to see things in.
Yeah.
Once we look at a building, we won't see the top of it. We're doing a box.
Well, that could easily be one of the houses in that
if it's a building,
photo.
Yeah. So we want more of this angle. Now, these lines, they don't look like they're converging much.
But they are.
They're converging off this way.
Yeah.
These lines are converging quite a lot.
Yeah.
They're going to a point quite close. If we do that, even more. What's going to happen is the vanishing point for this side, the right vanishing point, it's going to be quite close. somewhere around here. The left vanishing point, over here somewhere. Completely off the page. Basically, as you rotate this way, the vanishing points both move to the left.
Okay.
And as you rotate the other way, they both move to the right. Essentially, they'll kind of remain... This is where the confusing mathematical point before can be quite handy for explaining how they move. They'll remain 90 degrees apart based on the station point, which is a place that comes down from the horizon that represents where you're viewing from. You'd kind of measure things, they'd be 90 degrees apart with it rotating around there, for example.
Oh, okay. Maybe I can understand that.
So yeah, as you rotate the box, this is like you're rotating the box with it. And as you rotate it, the right vanishing point moves left, and the left vanishing point moves left even more.
Oh, I see what you mean. Actually, that does help.
And as you rotate it this way, the opposite happens.
That does help.
You'd want the station point to be further away, so these vanishing points would be...
The visual clue is easier for me to understand than the words were.
Yeah. It helps that you can put the box on there and actually see how the box is rotating.
I can do that. I can do that in future to help me understand what I'm
there's no reason you can't do this at any point. So we're going to put a vanishing point here for the right vanishing point, say, and the left vanishing point for this we're actually going to put here in this picture. So we're going to draw a similar box again. There are ways we could be doing this mathematically to get the proper angles and everything here. So if we want this to be quite, just a little bit of this showing, we also want to be quite close to this vanishing point.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because the closer we are, the less of it will be visible.
Yeah.
And this is where the mathematical stuff can help, because you've got to just eyeball the foreshortening.
Yeah.
And we want this below the horizon line to match the other one. And then it'll go back maybe only that far, because a lot of foreshortening because it's close to the vanishing point.
Yeah.
And then this will be a vertical line because we're doing 2 points.
So all the vertical lines will be exactly parallel to each other, as it's just 2 point. And that'll be the same with 1 point.
Yeah. So that one all the way off on the other picture. This is where you need to get good at estimating it and just converging without actually having a vanishing point, because obviously this is impractical. I can't even really see what I'm doing here because of the camera being in the way.
I know, that makes it really hard. You keep nutting the camera and stuff, I know. Tell me about it.
And this is going to be really difficult, getting the back of this thing, because those are all very similar angles.
Yeah.
So yeah, as you can see, we've moved those vanishing points, even without doing the rest of the box.
Yeah, you can
see the effect of moving them both to the left. The box has clearly rotated.
Yeah.
Compared to that one.
It's just nice to see it done on like not a blooming corner on building, because often you see demonstrations and stuff with corner on buildings, and I can see why now, having you watched you do it. Yeah,
it's quite natural, because you want to put the vanishing points kind of far apart, and the best you can do is put them either side of the paper, then your picture goes in the middle and bosh.
Yeah.
Also, if you were drawing this on with these vanishing points, if you just moved your box left or right, it would also naturally kind of rotate.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens when you move your head around.
Yeah.
With a box in front of you. Again, you guys have observed life.
The world. Yeah.
Don't need to tell you that.
It keeps going. It keeps flicking in and out of focus.
What do we want to do next with our thing? I suppose we could do the same vanishing points the other direction.
Yeah.
And demonstrate that it will rotate the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to do a similar thing we did, but we're going to move the vanishing points to the right instead. And I'm going to line this up with the horizon line. It's important that you have it on the right horizon line. And I'm going to put its right vanishing point all the way over there. Because why not? Of course, it's vitally important that you make stupid concentration faces while you're drawing lines. If your tongue doesn't stick out, you're doing the perspective wrong. So yeah, we've got the effect of them being too close together, making things distorted, as we saw on the 3-point perspective example. They're too close together here, which is why it looks so pointy at the top. In a similar fashion, if your third perspective point is too close, like this one was, even though it was up there, it could probably still have been further away. But if you have it any closer than it was there, it will similarly really exaggerate the perspective, which if you want to really sort of do that vertigo effect,
it's good to know if that's what you want. Yeah,
because it can be good for looking up and make something look tall, but also you can draw it from the top of a building looking down.
Yeah.
Similarly, you can. Yeah. We're going to demonstrate moving things around in scale in a drawing like this. We're going to draw something in a similar perspective to this one, as though it's a building, and we're going to draw some people that are all the same height.
But at different distances from you.
But at different distances, yes.
Yes. So shall I speed through you drawing the building in?
Yeah, speed through me doing this building bit. On one side of the building to be right up here. The ground is, because it's quite important where the ground is for this.
Okay.
Because you can draw people with their eyes all matching, but if they don't go to the same ground plane, it might look like a small person floating.
Yes. That's the kind of thing I would end up doing and wondering why on earth it wasn't working.
About like that, because there's always going to be more above you than there is below you if you're doing a building, isn't there?
Yeah.
Unless you're very tall.
Like a giant.
Yeah. That's a building. We have a representation of a building. Just to make it clear that it's a building, I'm going to draw a door in here. And remember, the horizon line goes through where our eyes are. So we want the door to be about where your eye level would be on it.
So normal human size, they'd be about, 3/4 of the way up a door?
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe 2/3 of the way up a door?
I'm doing them this height. And we're going to assume that's fine.
So basically you want the horizon line to be where a normal person's eye would come to.
Yeah, if you want to be representing this as you standing in a scene, that is where your eyes... I mean, that might be wrong. Who knows? But we're saying that's the height of this observer.
Yeah.
That's the important thing here.
Yeah.
And we're going to draw some people that are the same height as this observer. Now,
and this is ground level here.
Yeah, that's the ground there. In fact, we're going to extend this out here. It's a pavement that goes off this way, we'll say. We've got our 2-point perspective. So that will go off that way as well. That's
that
a little
looks
bit
weird
of pavement.
with that going to a point.
It does a bit, yeah. I'm going to cut that off because you very rarely see things going right off to the very horizon.
Yeah.
Things tend to fade out before you get to a point. Yeah, there we go.
That's better.
So, this is a pavement. You have to take my word for it. It doesn't look much like a pavement, but trust me, it is.
We believe that.
Now, we're going to have a person standing near this door on the pavement. There are two things you need to know when drawing a thing in perspective. Where it is and how big it is.
Anything else.
Yeah. Person, street light, whatever. We're going for people. We're going to assume they're the same height as the observer.
Okay.
If this is your eye level, then you're in the Shire.
Too.
It's fine. So, if their eye level's the same, then you can draw in their head on the horizon. That's a person's head. Might be a small head. I'm not a very good artist, but we're going to call that a head.
Yeah, I can.
You're going to be disappointed by my drawings of people. They'll be correct in perspective, but they will not look like people. Now, that person's feet.
Going to be on the ground?
Yes. Thing is, where on the ground? See, I can't draw that line and know, like, maybe their feet are right here and they're standing right up against the wall.
Yeah.
Maybe they're on the pavement.
Yeah. Mm.
Doesn't matter. Their head is still going to be on the horizon line. The reason it's important is that we're going to need to transfer this height to other things to be sure. I could just draw another person down here and have them against the wall, but if we want to have a line of people, say they're waiting in a queue.
So they're queuing to go into that door.
Yeah. So they're queuing to go into this nightclub.
Yeah.
Because of course they are. Naturally it's in England, so it's a very neat, orderly queue of very drunk people.
But they're still queuing.
Yeah.
There might be a punch up at the end where someone's trying to push it.
Oh, yeah. Some of the people at the back are vomiting.
Yeah.
It's a horrible scene, but we're drawing it, okay? So if we're going to assume they're in the middle of the pavement,
okay,
a fair place for them to be queuing,
yeah,
we're going to need to have their feet stop in the middle of the pavement.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I don't need to use a ruler for that. I'm drawing a person.
Yeah,
people aren't that straight.
People aren't that straight, no.
But I'm going to regret it.
You're just in a bit of a ruler habit.
Yeah. So their feet, they're going to come down to, say there. They're very thin. They've got one arm.
They've
got their hands on their hips.
So.
That's a person. You're going to have to take my word for it.
It looks like a person to me.
Now, we want those in a line. Like I said, the head is always going to be on the horizon line.
No matter how far away they are.
Yeah.
Unless they're shorter.
Unless they're shorter, yeah. These are people who are all the same height. Of course, people are all different heights, and you can work, but it's always going to be around the horizon line.
Yeah, at least that gives you some sense of the right scale.
Exactly, yeah. The way you'd normally look at people, if you see someone shorter, you're not going down. I mean, with some exceptions.
And if they were shorter, their feet would still be in the same place.
This is the thing. This is why we need to worry about where they're standing, because now, if we want them all to be in the middle of that pavement...
You don't just want short, levitating people.
No. Their feet are all on the ground, so you measure them back to the vanishing point, and now the heads are going to get smaller as well. You can, in fact, do the top and bottom of their head back to the vanishing point.
So you can even make the heads
if you want to make the heads the right size.
You probably wouldn't need to do that.
No, probably not, because it's not making a vast difference there.
No.
Like if you're doing it here, you might want to. But now I can draw little circles going back in perspective, and we could use that dividing and repeating thing if we want to get them all evenly spaced.
So if it was like in the lockdown days, and you had to all be 2 metres apart.
Yeah, but even British people don't cue that neatly.
No.
So now their bodies would all come down to the same point, to this line, and there is a queue of people all the same height, standing in the middle of the pavement. Now, say you've got a rebel who's trying to push in. Very rude, trying to push in.
Yeah, we don't do that here.
So they're standing here.
Oh yeah, they're a bit. They're trying to. Yeah.
So for them, obviously, they're a bit closer to the view.
Yeah.
So you draw all their body straight up, and their head is going to be slightly bigger because they're in front. Not that much bigger, sure, but their eyes are going to be on the horizon line.
Yeah. Supposing you've got someone photobombing just here.
Right here at the front.
Yeah.
Draw a big old head here.
But their eyes will still be on the horizon.
This person's ducking slightly to get out of the way. So their eyes are slightly lower than they should be because I've drawn that head wrong. But in theory, yeah. If they're all exactly the same height and not ducking slightly to get out of the way, always on the horizon line.
Yeah.
That person's got very high up eyes.
Because that would help me with my picture that I've got in my head that I'd like to do, where you've got people looming at you, buildings looming over you. My sense of panic that I get when I have to go into the city.
Yeah, for you, all of the eyes will be above the horizon line.
Yeah.
Let's say you've got some other thing here, like a lamppost. Yeah, let's say you've got... These lampposts are quite strangely placed as well. They're not all in a perfect line. Don't panic. We can deal with that. You can transfer scale by making a temporary vanishing point.
Oh, are we getting a bit highfalutin now?
Let's say we've got a lamppost that's coming out of the middle of the road here. Obviously, not even normal height people are taller than lampposts.
No.
So this very straight, very skinny lamppost. There's that lamppost.
Yeah.
Cool. And we've got another lamppost that for some reason isn't in line with that because they didn't want to build this one in the middle of the road. They wanted to put it right here at the side of the building.
I think it's a bus stop.
Sure, it's a bus stop. How do we make that the same height as the other lamppost?
Oh, we need a temporary vanishing point.
We do as well.
I only know that because you just said it, not because I guessed.
We want to measure a line in perspective, but they're not aligned with a vanishing point like these were.
Okay. Yeah.
So we just make a new one. We go through the bottom of this. Change my mind, it's not there at all.
Yeah, put it where it's convenient to make your point.
Yeah, the other lamppost is right here in the queue. So you trace through those two base points that are on the same ground plane, importantly. Got to be measuring things from the same point. There are ways you can do it if it's up or down, but for now,
simple.
We measure through them on the same ground plane, which these are, and we put a vanishing point on the horizon line there.
Where did it go?
Right there. So you go through the points and go to the horizon line.
Okay.
I could draw that in. Don't worry about any other objects that are in the way or whatever. This vanishing point is just for measuring. If we draw straight up from our weirdly placed bus stop, street light, whatever it is, the same height as that first one, draw straight up an arbitrary distance. If we turn this around for ease of access. If we now go from that vanishing point to the top of the thing we're measuring, that is the height the other lamppost should be.
Let's see if it looks right when you do it.
And those should be the same height, in theory. So you can do that with anything, as long as they're on the same ground plane.
Yeah.
You can draw between their bases to the horizon line, and from that you can find out the top.
Temporary.
With humans it's easy because one of the lines is the horizon line.
Yeah.
But for other sized objects you've got to work out one fixed line. So yeah, that's how you can transfer perspective scales. And you can use this kind of thing for trees. If you've got a line of trees it's easy. But if that line doesn't happen to go off to a vanishing point, you can use this trick. Because you can now place... doesn't matter that this isn't one of your vanishing points, it's going to the same horizon line. So you could just place poles along there.
Yeah.
Like if you wanted to do a fence. Yeah. Just place poles along that.
So I think that's probably enough to cover for this one, isn't it? I think it's a good place to stop. So we've covered what? Summarise.
We have covered moving vanishing points, and the fact that if you have them too close, it'll be too distorted.
Yeah.
Moving them left and right rotates your point of view, or the object, depending on how you view it.
You talked briefly about the station. Is it called station?
Station point.
Yeah, which is where you would view.
Yes, we didn't go into details about that because it can be very confusing, but it's very useful.
It's actually quite helpful to make me understand what you meant at that point. And then we talked about scale.
Scale transference there. This is starting to look more like the kind of building scene you might want to draw.
Yeah, it is.
Conveniently.
Because like we were saying, you don't always just want to draw a corner on the building.
And it's like I was talking about not having the points too close, but if you want to do a view like this, you have to have one point very close. In fact, we're going to find, you'll see later, that in this point, in this photo rather, one of the vanishing points is in that door. Yeah. As it happens. Yeah. And you can tell that's going to happen because you can see these walls, which are parallel. Yeah. They're converging in towards, one of them's pointing left, one of them's pointing right. So that vanishing point is going to be in the picture somewhere. Yeah. And we're going to cover that in a later video. Yeah. How to figure all that out. We went over some tools, which we have links to.
Oh, yeah. So that's it for this one. I'm going to timestamp it so that you can, if you're coming back and following along, which I'm going to be doing myself. You can find the bit you need and go back over or whatever. I think probably in the next one we'll look at arches and cylinders and things in roundy shapes.
Yeah. An easier concept than it seems, but the actual...
You do need to do it
act of it requires some practice.
Yeah. I mean, even just knowing that a circle in perspective is always going to be a perfect ellipse, not squashed at one end, which is what I would have thought is an eye-opener to me. So once we've got boxes and cylinders off to a T, then we'll be able to draw anything we like.
If you can do a cylinder, you can do any curved cutout from a box.
We're going to stop that one there.
Yeah.
I hope you found that useful or interesting. Yeah. The playlist link and everything will be in the description box below. And we'll see you again very soon. Very, very, very soon.
Yes. Bye.